Welcome back, folks. I'm Jake Ellenbogen, and today we're going to be talking about Myles Garrett and why I could not be more against the Rams going after him. Before we dive into that, though, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Be sure to follow me on all social media, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick at JKBogan. And just want to let you guys know that today's sponsor is Prize Picks. And, of course, the promo code would be JKBogan, just like the handle. You can get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup, and don't get started in doing that before you dive in and you take Patrick Mahomes' 0.5 passing yards gimme for the Super Bowl. So if you're looking to get in on the action before the Super Bowl, for the Super Bowl, NBA, NHL, MLB season's right around the corner, be sure to check out Prize Picks. That is where you can do that. You pick 2 to 6 players, you take their projections, and you choose more or less. It's that simple. Once again, code JKBogan, $50 instantly when you play at least a $5 lineup. All right, folks. So I understand we are talking about a team that traded for Jalen Ramsey, Aqib Talib, Marcus Peters, signed Ndamukong Suh, traded for Von Miller, signed Odell Beckham Jr., traded for Brandon Cooks. I'm aware of it. That F them picks is still very much alive and well, especially in the NFL. But I would absolutely go against trading for Myles Garrett, and I have every reason as to why. First off, before you ask, no, I'm not crazy. Yes, I know Myles Garrett's one of, if not the best pass rusher in the NFL currently, but it's not about that. It's actually not about that at all. When you have a salary cap, okay, and I bring this up all the time, people are probably tired of hearing it, but when you have a salary cap, especially in the NFL, not the NBA, in the NFL, it is a hard cap, meaning you can't go over it for any reason. They don't give you any leeway to sign your own guys and all that. So the Rams right now, if they get a Cooper Kupp trade done, they're going to have about $50 million to play with. Now, they can do some other things as well, but that's kind of the idea, right? So Myles Garrett, obviously fantastic player, but he's not in need. And before people say, well, he's absolutely better than Byron Young, let me explain to you why he doesn't, just because he's a better player doesn't mean he's a better fit. And he'd probably have way better stats than Byron Young. He'd probably make the defense better, but there's a big reason why this would be a mistake for the Rams. First off, Garrett's going to cost at least 2 first-round picks and likely would cost Byron Young in return. In no way, shape, or form am I doing that. First off, the 2 first-round picks. You talk about a team that has a 37-year-old quarterback that some people aren't even convinced he's going to come back this year and will be traded. I'm not one of those people. I think it's ludicrous, but there are people out there. If you think that the Rams are going to go via the draft and find their quarterback without a first-round pick, I hate to break it to you, and it's still possible they could, but the odds become a lot less likely. And if you trade away 2 first-round picks, you're not going to have a first-round pick until 2027. Guess what? Matthew Stafford's 37 years old. You're not going to be able to do the Jordan Love formula because you won't have a first-round pick to do it with. You won't have a fifth-year option to pick up. So that is that in that sense. Also, keep in mind that takes away of the cost effectiveness. Now, you bring in a guy, with a first-round pick, and of course, a fifth-year option. Jared Verse gives them a lot of leeway here because of that fifth-year option. They have not drafted anybody in the first round since Jared Goff. So you have to think about that because they had the first-round pick in 2018. They traded it for Brandon Cooks. So here's the deal. First-round picks still matter, okay? Just because they finally picked one, it doesn't mean they need to go back to trading it away. That said, I'm not against them trading it away. I'm against them trading away 2 first-round picks and some cost effectiveness. What do I mean by that? Garrett would want a new deal, okay? He's got hardly any guaranteed money left on the contract. That is not going to be the contract that he gets. He wants a new deal. But the question would be from you guys, Jake, if he wants a new deal, what does that look like? Well, I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is, if you're a fan of Myles Garrett, you want him to get paid, he's going to get paid. The bad news is, if you were hoping to get Myles Garrett cheap, that is not going to happen. At 29 years of age, Spotrac has a calculated market value of 4 years, $137 million. If you don't understand what that means he'd be getting paid 34.3 average annual value. Now, that might not be the direct cap hit in 2025 if they did sign him, but that would be a significant cap hit. So not only are you giving up 2 first-round picks, likely Byron Young, but you would also be giving up $34.3 million average annual value on the books. And that kind of limits what you can do. And keep in mind, the defense isn't the issue. Keep that in mind. I keep hearing how, well, Myles Garrett will take them to new heights. That's great. But if the offense still scores 21 points per game or lower, hate to break it to you, but a great defense is still going to have a slim margin for error if the offense doesn't get better. And how is the offense going to get better? If you use all of your salary cap on Myles Garrett, and then you go out and you trade away your first round picks for Myles Garrett, and maybe you give up more picks. Well, guess what? You don't have a second round pick because of the Braden Fisk deal. You wouldn't have a first round pick because of Garrett. Maybe they ask for an additional third round pick. So maybe you're sitting pretty there, or not really. You got Myles Garrett, but now you don't pick until 100 or whatever, the compensatory pick is in the third round for Raheem Morris. And now you don't pick until the third round. You don't have cap flexibility. You still have a hole on the offense you need to fill. It's not conducive to winning football. And this is what it really comes down to. The salary cap is great, but it's also very, restrictive and constricting. And if you go out and you get Myles Garrett, you just look at it like he's a great player, I'll just figure it out. Okay, fine. But you also have to understand, well, now you're going to have a really imbalanced team. And also, wouldn't you want Matthew Stafford to have some weapons? Wouldn't you want Matthew Stafford to have some help? If he's in 1 more or 2 more, years of his deal, let's just say he plays another year at least. Well, what does that mean? Like, you're going to go out and get a defensive player? The defense wasn't the issue. The offense was the issue. The defensive line currently, Jared Verse, $3.4 million cap hit in 2025. Okay. Braden Fisk, $2.1 million cap hit. Byron Young, 1.5, and Kobe Turner, 1.4. This was the cheapest defense last year, and they spent $26 million on Aaron Donald due to dead money after he retired. So they were cheap, and they didn't have a lot of opportunity to really explode and go, just balls to the wall and get a huge name. And that was a good thing, because it forced a rookie defensive coordinator in Chris Shula to make the most of what was around him. And I don't think people give enough credit to him for that. The Rams did a nice job in, undrafted rookie free agency, going out and finding football players, not athletes. Maybe they didn't run the fastest 40, but they went out and got Omar Speights. They went out and got Jalen McCullough. Those guys make the team. How about a Josh Wallace, right? You have those guys. You have your guys that you sign, maybe bargain bin or not, but I would definitely say a big time bargain was Cam Curl, and he provided a lot of value. Q Lake on a rookie deal. You just talk about how cost effective this defense was. And guess what? While they were cost effective, they didn't have to give up any premium picks. They drafted a player in the first round. They now have him for 5 years if they want to, and it sure looks like they're going to. Why wouldn't you pick up the 5th-year option of Jared Verse when the time comes? But the defense got better and better and better. The rookie defensive coordinator got better. It's a young defense. And by the way, they were 1 sack away from breaking the sack record in playoff history, and they only played in 2 games. So I'm sorry, but I'm not sitting here saying, wow, my biggest takeaway was the defense needs another pass rusher. No, that couldn't be further from the truth. So this is how I see it. This deal wouldn't be cost effective at all. I keep hearing Myles Garrett's going to take them to the next level. Okay, that's fine and dandy, but you know what the defense needs to do? Do you know what they need to do for the defense? They need to bring back Ahkello Witherspoon at cornerback. They need to bring back Michael Hoyt, who is a huge special team demon, but in addition to that, he's used in the cheetah package, and they use all 3 of their outside linebackers, him, Verse, and Young, on the field at the same time. He gives you also just that depth. So if you have to rotate, you have him. He could play in the trenches. He could also play on the outside. Then you have Bobby Brown. You got to bring him back. He's so important, key and critical to the run game. And either you bring back Christian Roseboom or you upgrade linebacker. But either way, I think you're looking at a defense that has to have another year together, because that defense, they finished the season as hot as anybody as far as I'm concerned. And the last thing I'm worried about is that defense. If they bring those guys back, I'm not looking to just, go out of my way to upgrade. But also keep this in mind. Garrett is elite, but he's going to be 30 at the end of this season. And Donald retired age 32. And while Garrett, in theory makes the Rams better, we don't know how long he would play. Definitely don't want to be on the hook for a guy that retires and then you give up, have $26 million in dead money again, because that didn't help with Aaron Donald. But the cap hit would be massive, and you're just giving tons of picks. So you're getting rid of the flexibility in that, so you're getting rid of your picks, but then you're giving up a lot of your cap space to do this. Garrett is a fantastic player, but if, God forbid, I was going to consider going out and getting a big-time defensive player, the only one I would consider is Micah Parsons at age 25. I just don't think this makes sense for the Rams. At least with Parsons, you're getting a 25-year-old player who could play off-ball linebacker, who could be an edge defender. I really think Micah Parsons I would consider, but I still feel like I would focus on the offense. And if you're going to trade away that first-round pick and, you have, I forget the term, but, a hole burning in your pocket or whatever, you really need to trade away that first-round pick for whatever reason you're really dying to. If that's the case, then go after Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson, that should be the priority. This is somebody that comes into the offense. You're already trading away Cooper Kupp, so you need to replace him. Tutu Atwell's a free agent. Are you going to bring him back or not? And so is Demarcus Robinson. I am very high on Jordan Whittington, but they need another guy with Whittington and, of course, Puka Nacua. Insert Garrett Wilson. Familiarity with the offensive coordinator, Mike LaFleur. Raved about Mike LaFleur. All of the news and the rumors started passing around right after that game with the Rams. I think where there's smoke, there's fire. I think Garrett Wilson is really in the mix for the Rams. And I think if you were going to go Myles Garrett or Garrett Wilson, you go with the guy that has Garrett as his first name. And I understand that some people would look at it and say, Myles Garrett, is elite, and he might be the best at his position. Garrett Wilson is really good and has a chance to be elite, but he's one of a bunch of receivers that are really good. I would push back on that. You're getting a 24, 25-year-old receiver who, no matter who's throwing him the football, he's found a way to get to 1,000 yards every single season of his career on the Jets, no less. You put him with Sean McVay, you put him with Matthew Stafford, you put him across from Puka Nacua, and just imagine some of the things he'd be able to do. I really don't think people realize that. I understand entirely, right? Like the luxury stuff, we saw it in the past. Did the Rams have to go out and get Jalen Ramsey? Maybe not. But the Rams, in my opinion, this isn't luxury. They have to figure out a way. And if they went out and traded a first and a third, which, again, I've brought up many times, is the same exact trade the Eagles made for A.J. Brown from the Tennessee Titans. They had the first and third. They paid him, and they've been to 2 Super Bowls since. But if they did that with Garrett Wilson, keep this in mind, they wouldn't have to pay him right away. And his cap hit is below $4 million in 2025, so it gives you more flexibility. Whereas if you trade for a guy like Garrett, you have no flexibility. So in conclusion, I'm absolutely against trading for Myles Garrett. I think he's a phenomenal player. I mean, no disrespect to him, but it has to make sense. And I think as more and more as I've gotten used to just growing as an analyst and learning more about this game and learning more as just a content creator, I realized maybe in the past, like that mindset of mine, maybe not as, experienced and whatnot and, taking on all the different things and learning how the Rams operate, I would have told you maybe in 2018, go all in and go after Myles Garrett and tell you how that's going to help Matthew Stafford because it's going to generate more takeaways and more sacks and more offensive possessions. But I'm not going to do that now because I believe cost effectiveness in a salary cap world is everything. And when you have a guy like Byron Young, he might not be a superstar, but he provides a lot of value for a really cheap number. And so does Kobe Turner, and so does Fisk, and so does Verse. And again, Fisk, second round pick, Verse, first round pick, Byron Young, third, Kobe Turner, third. We're talking about getting rid of those picks. And if you do that, the picks that allowed you to get those tags, those price tags, and have that talent, if you get rid of those picks, you better make damn sure you're getting the right guy. He has to fit. He has to be young. He has to fit into what you're doing. But I also think he needs to be cost effective in his own. Garrett Wilson, to me, low cap number, makes a lot of sense. You can deal with not having a first round pick and a third round pick. I don't think it would cost 2 firsts. We don't know if Garrett Wilson is 100% going to request a trade, but it's now been mentioned twice by multiple NFL media reporters. So I do think it's going to happen. And when it's all said and done, I think the Rams will bypass Myles Garrett, which maybe they would have done in the past. And I think they'll go after Garrett Wilson. But that's all I got for you guys. I wanted to really break this thing down because I did a lot of research on this, and it really just comes down to this. I've talked about this in live streams, but I wanted to have a separate video where I really just isolated. I love my isolated videos. I love my isolated topics. And I just really wanted to isolate it because I have the notes here and I do a lot of research. And again, Garrett sounds great, but when you realize you have to actually pay him, if you were getting Garrett at the same cap number as you were getting, Garrett Wilson, and you were getting him at age 25, by all means, Myles Garrett, come on down. I wouldn't be against trading for him, again, because of Micah Parsons. But 29 years old, going on to 30, really expensive, and you're still giving up picks. I'm out. Totally out on that. Garrett Wilson is my priority on the trade market. If they don't go after Garrett Wilson, you always have the draft. You have free agency. Like I've mentioned multiple times, you got, bargain bin guys. Maybe it makes sense to try it again with Tutu Atwell. The guy's always open. He's a great receiver. I just don't think he gets the opportunities. If they actually sold out to give Tutu Atwell the opportunity, I think he is such a good bargain for this team, as well as a Joshua Palmer from the Chargers, guys that just really were underutilized. So we'll see how it goes. Now that we've seen wide receivers like Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams and DeAndre Hopkins, you're starting to hit that wall when they get to 30. We always talk about the running back wall, but we're not really talking about the receiver wall. There is a wall there, okay? The production. You look at Amari Cooper, right? So now that we're starting to see that, I think there should be more value and more of an emphasis on younger receivers. And that's why Garrett Wilson, to me, has a lot of value. I don't think this wide receiver class is the best, but I also haven't really gone into it enough. I just know from the people that I trust and that do their homework and really have been watching the tape on this draft class all season long, they would tell you this probably isn't the best wide receiver class ever. And so to me, that's stock up for Garrett Wilson. We'll see what ends up happening. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Be sure to follow me on all social media at JKBogan, including Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Kick. And of course, be sure to check out today's sponsor, Prize Picks. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, folks. Later. If you guys haven't checked out The Lounge, you are missing out. It is my side project that I am very excited about. I've been interviewing athletes, analysts, actors, voice actresses, singers and bands. I mean, the whole nine. So we are going to be doing some great things this year. And if you want to get in on the action, you want to follow what I have to offer over there, including my latest interview with Ahkello Witherspoon, soon to be another Ram, and just plenty more, be sure to check out The Lounge with Jake Ellenbogen. The link is in the description below. Give it a subscription, and if you do so, you'll be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. That will be dropped as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers. In case you guys haven't noticed, I do have a Discord channel for my community on this channel, and if you want to be a part of it, it is free. The link is in the description below. You can sign up. This is basically a 24/7 Rams channel, and we are almost at 1,100 members. So if you want to be a part of it, just hit the link in the description below.